Hey everybody, welcome to the Slick Tree Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Langford. The point of this show is to help improve ourselves as dogmen and to raise the quality of the dogs on the end of our lead. So let's settle in, turn the volume up, and let's see if we can't learn a trick or two together from our guests. Hey everybody, you are listening to the Slick Tree Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Langford, and today I have got Ceb Scott sitting across the table from me. How are you doing this morning, Ceb?
I'm doing real good.
Yeah, well, I want to start out by thanking you for letting me come down here and giving me some of your time and feeding me a belly full of squirrel. I'm going to show up back down here, side of this mountain again.
It's fine. Just come anytime. It's just, I'm just living a dream, I retired about 6 years ago, and the good Lord put me right here, and He gave me good health, and I can get up and go hunting and go fishing. That's the hardest thing I've got when I wake up in the morning, which direction to go.
Yeah.
And so I head out most of the time. Most of the time, this time of year, it's cooling off. I'll squirrel hunting. That's all I do is squirrel hunt. This time of year, I'll if it gets a little boring, I'll go catch a crop if I can. And other than that, you see what I've got here. It's just a dream.
Yeah, it don't really look like you could pick a wrong direction to go from where we're sitting. It all looks about prime to me.
It is. You got to watch when you're squirrel hunting, because I live right here and it's easy just to leave from the house right here. Well, you kill two squirrels today. That ain't many. You come home. Well, you go the same place tomorrow because you don't have to just leave the house. You kill two more. In 60 days, you've killed 120 squirrels. You think, man, there ain't no squirrels. They've all moved out of here, and you don't realize how many squirrels you've killed. But just killing two a day.
Yeah.
So you gotta arrange out a little bit every once in a while. Get some go to new places and find new things. And this competition hunting, I started it kind of late in my age. Started about the time I retired, because working man, you can't hardly competition hunt. And started I was about 60 years old when I started, and boy, I've enjoyed it. Man, it's been, but it's time for me to draw back home, and I've always had pleasure dogs, and man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. The competition is good, and that's for young guys. The pleasure hunting, you can road hunt. We've got miles and miles of road hunting. You can road hunt when the dog's tree. You can jump out and go kill the squirrel, or if they're up on the side of that hill, you can toot your horn, bring the dog back. You get there and the dog moves over a little bit, you're pleasure hunting. It don't matter, just as long as you kill the squirrel. Where the competition, you want a dog when he trees, you want him to stay there. You don't want him to move, and you don't want him to be looking around for a squirrel to run off. Where pleasure dogs, hey, you want him to be under that tree, whether he has to go 100 yards of trailing that. Well, that's where you run into problems with the competition dog. So I've had it good, and it is. I'm going back to the pleasure hunting, and in this past week, that's what I've done. It's cooled off, and I've killed several squirrels, and I'll kill more squirrels if the good Lord is willing. So that's the way it is.
Well, what did you do for a living before you retired?
Well, that's another thing. I worked for 16 years. I worked for the railroad, and I coon hunted before I squirrel hunted. Well, I used the same dogs, but I coon hunted. And the first 2 years, boy, it worked out just right. The first 2 years on the railroad, I'd be laid off. Winter just so happened being the wintertime. Well, that's the only way I made a living. It was back in the late 70s, early 80s, when a coon hide was worth $30, and I was making about $50 a day working. So if I got laid off, man, I'd go coon hunt. Well, a coon hunter had a mule, and that's what I coon hunt on these mountains, Winding and Kamish and Blue Mountain, and you couldn't hunt down low because with coon hides that high, everybody had traps.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't get off the road very far without getting the dog caught in a trap. So you just hit on the side of them mountains, and that's where you hunted. Well, that's what I was making a living at. and made it pretty good. And I had a wife, and by that time I had a baby, so I spent the winter on the side of the mountain every night. I guess it was kind of like a wino or something, because I'd come in about daylight, give out, and say I can't do it tonight. I'm gonna have to rest. Just about dark, you'd go to shaking, and you'd go looking around. And you'd let out a holler, because my dog's running loose there at the house. You'd let out a holler, and they'd come crippling around, and then you go catch your mule. Now, the mule knew what was happening, and I'd have to really be smart to catch him, because he'd run way back in the corner there, because he didn't want to be riding it. And I'd hunt him. Well, I did it every night. And dogs, I could take a pretty good dog, coon dog. Now, a lot of people say you can't, but with a mule, 3 nights, he's done. I mean, you got him behind your mule. He's falling. I don't care how tough he is. 3 nights, and we ain't talking about 3 or 4 hours. We're talking about. I like to get out there about 10 o'clock at night and stay until we got daylight. You know? So you can knock a good dog out. So you had to kind of watch your dogs where you wouldn't run out of dogs. You'd have to keep one in the dog pen and resting. You know, but it was a lot of fun. And then I got on the county. Worked 16 years on the railroad, got on the county, and I'm telling you, that was you could hunt all night long, even working for the county. Everybody knows what the county is. You know, it was a good job, and so I had it. You know, like I said, the good Lord followed me, and I wasn't always the Christian I am now. So, you know, way back there, I didn't even think about the good Lord, but He still watches me. And I get a little bit emotional, but anyway, it was good. It was real good. I don't want to mess your podcast up.
Oh no! If you got a testimony, you feel free to share it, Ceb. You can talk about
but
whatever
anyway, you know, he watched over me, and shoot, I raised 3 girls, and my wife raised them. I was pretty rough at some of the times, but you know, Lord come in, took care of me, and I didn't even know it, but I do now. But anyway, back to the hunting deal. Golly, like I said, I wake up every morning. I'm living a dream. I'm just thinking I'm going to wake up. Well, I wake up and think, well, here we go. We'll go squirrel hunt today. Anyway, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but that's most of it.
Well, how'd you get into dogs? Where'd you get your start at?
Well, my dad, my grandpa, everybody hunted. Mostly, well, we did whatever we did with dogs, and that's where I started. My dad, they call it wolf hunting, but it's fox hunting and coyote hunting. You know, turn dogs loose, and that's what got me started. And then I like for something to be at the end of the track. Well, that coyote hunting and stuff, you just listen to your dogs and have a big farm. Well, when I got older, I wanted to coon hunt. Well, he was a coon hunter too, so we went to coon hunting. And man, I like to be. At the end of the track, I want to kill the game. So that's where I started, and then we used the same dogs as a squirrel hunt, and I just went from there, and I've even deer. I go over in Arkansas. I'm just 5 miles from Arkansas. I used to go over there and had beagles. I run deer. Oh my, there ain't nothing. There's nothing feels any better. You want to stand and hear them beagles coming through, because you know it won't be long. You'll hear the brush popping, and the shooting is what I was after. And you know, it wasn't no head shot. It wasn't no side shot. It was hair shot. I throw it up because you know if you hit it, the beagle's they're gonna track it down. So all you have to do is throw it when you seen hair, you pull the trigger. And you just keep pulling the trigger until you run out of shells, and hopefully you hit it. And if you hit it, like I said, the dogs they might even run them all, but they'll find it for you.
What kind of gun were you running with?
Well, 30-30. You know, everybody hunted with .6s, and that's still what I use is 30-30. I don't go as 4, but you know I've killed a lot of game, and I've killed a lot of game that I can't even talk about killing with that 30-30. So you know, where I live, it's just about it's the gun that you use or that I use. But anyway, back to this competition hunting. You know, I started it about really hot and heavy about 6 years ago, and hunted it, went all over, you know, hunting, and had pretty decent dogs. They wasn't good as a lot of people, but they was good enough for me. But these young boys. About 3 years ago, Chris White, he come in to the picture, and he went to hunting with me, and boy, he liked it. And I had a young dog. I just come across that dog. I went down there and bought me a tree and cur off of Jacob Looky-Doo, and I wanted a dog that was out of the old shoot for Woody. I wanted a dog. So Jacob had a Jip. He went and bred. Anyway, I got him and went to training him, and man, he's doing really good. My grandson wanted a little walker dog, and he was just at the time 6 years old. He wanted a walker dog. Well, actually, he seen where the red firm grows, and he wanted a red tick. Grandpa, give me a red tick. And I thought, oh, mercy. So I talked him into getting a walker. So, I went and found a walker and a baby puppy, brought it home, and it just tickled him to death. Well, they live a little ways from me, so I took it to him. 6 months old, he went to tearing up everything in the yard. Well, his mama called and said, you come and get this dog or I'm going to kill it. I said, well, I don't really want another dog, but I'll come and get it. So I brought him home and just kicked him out on the porch. And, he was going to be my hound dog that laid on the porch all the time. And about 7 months old, he went to disappear. Didn't know where he went. I didn't really care at that time because I was trying to get Oak going on that competition hunting. Well, 3 or 4 months rolled around, he just disappeared. Just wouldn't see him, didn't hear him. And every once in a while, on the front porch, I'd hear him come across there running the deer because I could hear. And well, that's okay. I didn't care about that. But then he went to disappearing and staying gone for, golly, a long time during the day. So I thought I'd just put a track collar on and see where he's at. Well, the first time I put a track collar on, he was 2 miles from my house. Well, I just went to look at. He stayed there for 2 hours. I told my wife, I said, well, something's happened to him. Somebody probably killed him or something, but he ain't moved in 2 hours. I'm going to have to go. So I've got a little side-by-side road, and I went to him in 2 miles, and he stayed over 2 hours by that time. And when I got there, he was up a tree, and I thought, man, I looked over and a big old fox squirrel was there, and I thought, boy, how'd he stay tree by himself 2 hours? So I brought him home, and I didn't want to make a competition dog. I'd had one. I'd working on Dan, so I turned him loose. And every day, he would leave out. He'd be gone. And I put a track collar on. And every time I'd go see him, he had a squirrel tree. Well, back to Chris White. He was wanting to get started competition hunting. So I told Chris about him. I said, take him, Chris. Take him over. And I said, finish training him out in competition hunting. Well, he did. And the dog that I was proud of, Oak, he was still a good dog, but we'd go to them competition hunts, and Dan was beating Oak. Sometimes Oak would beat Dan, sometimes Dan beat Oak, but man, Chris did a good job, and I think I can honestly say that, and we've raised some pups out of him since then, and Chris got one, and Braden, his brother's got one, and they're doing real good, so I'm hoping that them boys will take hold and go on, because I'm pretty much, it's going to be pleasure. It's going to be pleasure hunting, and the competition hunting and leaving it to younger guys. So that's pretty much all my story.
Yeah. Oh, hey, what kind of dogs? Were you hunting whenever you were young with your dad? Were they just hounds?
Oh, they were just they was everything. We had a squirrel dog, probably best. Well, it ain't but at one time he was the best squirrel dog. It was just a collie, like a lassie dog, collie dog. It was just that's what we hunted with. But now he cowed hunted, or we hunted with walkers, running walkers and Julys and Triggs and that kind of stuff. But we just had everything. We like I said, we squirrel hunted with everything. He coon hunted a little bit until I showed interest, and then he really went to coon hunting. We walker dog, blue ticks, probably one of the best meat dogs. Now, they ain't no competition. Probably the best meat dog I ever had was a blue tick, lazy, or you would think he was lazy. We rode mules, and he wouldn't go hunting. If you wanted him on the creek bank, you got down the creek, but if he ever hit a coon track, you could you just go sit on the bank and build your fire up, because he's going to tree it. And it don't matter how long it took him. And 80% of the time, the coon was there. I mean, he hardly ever missed it. But he was like, if you didn't have a mule, you'd have never hit a coon because he's going to follow that mule. It was the beatingest thing you ever seen. But we was after the hides. We wasn't after it. And boy, when he hit, he was going to tree it. I had some good walker dogs that was coon dogs. They wasn't none competition. They was all meat dogs. I mean, coons all I wanted them to run, but they had the faults too. But like I say, this competition didn't come in here until about 8 years ago, 9 years ago when the competition, and it's a whole nother deal, I like it, but boy, I like for them to be if the squirrel leaves, I want them to leave with that squirrel, but you can't have that no more, or you can't have it in a competition, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But the dogs I got now, Stevens Kerr, I got them about 25 years ago. I like them for pleasure dogs. They would probably make competition dogs, but I like them for pleasure dogs. Sometimes they open a little bit too much, but the ones I got now, I try to raise them where they don't open as much, and when they tree, they've got the squirrel, and they watch the timber real good. They follow it and so that's when you see me, and if you come down to the Flora County, southeastern Oklahoma, in the Ouachita Mountains, any frosty morning, you'll see me. I've got a little pickup that I road hunt with, and you'll see me going down the road, and then there'll be a couple of little black dogs ahead of me, and that's where I'll be going. Oh my! And I like to train dogs, pleasure dogs. The competition dogs, I've trained about 3 or 4 of them, and it's a whole nother deal. These pleasure dogs, you take 2 or 3 at one, take them together. It don't matter because when you go with your buddies, pleasure hunting, you want to really see how good they'll do up against your buddies, but you want them all tree together and
pack up a little bit.
Yeah, and just have a good time, because there's nothing any better. It being about 55 degrees, just a little bit of a mist, and you're road hunting. You got your coffee, and you got your honey bun. It's up on the dash getting warm, and you're road hunting with your buddy, and you're drinking your coffee, and old Bo, he trees squirrel, and you run out there and you kill that squirrel, and I like to skin them. Now there are a lot of people want to throw them in the truck and go home, but when I get home, I want them skinned. I don't want to have to skin them, so I skin them. And now, me getting older, see, most people I hunt with is younger, so I send them up on the side of them ridges to get them squirrels. I'll skin all the squirrels that we'll kill. I'll cut them up and put them in my freezer or my little ice chest, and oh my, it's when we get home, it's all over. Same way I do with my crappie. I like my crappie. I like to get them all clean before we get home. Because when I get home, I'm usually tired and I don't want to fool with nothing. I'm done with all of that until the next day.
Let me back you up a little bit. Walk us through your squirrel skinning method. What's say we hopped in your little Toyota pickup out here, and we went out, treated a squirrel, shot it. When we get back to the truck, how are you skinning that squirrel, and then what are you doing? Are you throwing it I've
got me
start to finish.
Okay, start to finish. Okay, I've got my grandsons with me.
Mm-hmm.
Tree a squirrel, and I'll say, Warhead, that's what I call him. His hair's real wiry. And I said, Warhead, you better go get that squirrel. Boy, he'd jump out, and away he goes, and boom, blah, blah. Now, I've taught him a bad habit, and I'm furnishing shells, I want you to know.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll tree a squirrel, or he trees one. He goes down, and I've told him, I said, now, if you don't see that squirrel, I said, he's up there. If he's up a pine tree, shoot the top of that pine tree out, and he'll move. Well, that shells didn't used to be as high as they are now, but he'll go down there, and it'll be boom, blah, bloom, blah, bloom, and he'll come back here, and I said, where's the squirrel at? Well, he wasn't up that tree, but I got it where I could see around it. And so we'll go on, and he'll tree another, and a dog will. He'll go down, he'll get it. If it ain't too far, I'll go down there with him, and he'll bring it up the towel. He'll bring it up there, and we'll throw it in the truck. We'll go on down. When we tree another, while he's going after that one, I'll skin it. Now, I don't use nothing, which, a lot of people does, and that's good, but I can't. I never could. I skin it. I just cut his tail, back tail, put my foot on the tail, rip it out, pull it out, and I don't. You eat some squirrel here a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't find no front shoulders, no ribs, did you?
Mm-mm.
See, the backbone and the two back legs is all I use. My dogs treat them. My dog's going to get something. So I throw the head and the tail in the back of my truck on one side, and then I throw the ribs and stuff on the other side. And when I get home, these pot lickers that's running loose that ain't done nothing, they get the head and tail. And they'll eat every bit. There won't even be no hair left on the tail. Then the ones that I had in the back there hunting, they get the ribs and the lungs. They get all the good stuff. And that's pretty much the way and I put them in the ice chest when I'm in the woods. I cut it up and put them in the ice chest. When I get home, I clean them up a little bit, put them in the freezer, put them and we'll eat them. You know, I'm pretty much the only. My wife, you've seen her eat one piece. That's enough for her for probably the rest of the year. But I'm the only one that eats the squirrels, unless the son-in-laws or somebody comes over. And, sometimes we'll just have a squirrel cookout. But other than that, that's the way we do it. Now I got neighbors that like squirrels, and I'll bring them to them. They'll be cleaned and everything. And I had one neighbor that you can't burn me out. And he said, you can't burn me out, squirrels. He said, they keep bringing them to me. He said, I love them. Well, it took me a whole year, started to the next year, and he said, don't bring me no more squirrels. I brought him over 200 that one year, and the next year I started the same way, and he came out and he said, I got squirrels left from last year. Don't bring me no more. And I said, well, okay. So, if you say you want squirrels and you live on my road, you better get ready for some squirrels. And that's what I got on that deal.
So you said you like to train dogs, and notice when I pulled up here, you had your pot lickers, as you referred to them, just out running around the yard. Tell me, when you say you go buy a pup, what's your general goal? I know every one of them's different, but what's your training program look like?
Well, my training, I try to train one pup a year to pay for the dog feed. I mean, I started that back when I worked for when you work for the county. I ended up with a better job than just the county. But when I started with the county, didn't pay a whole lot. I still like my dogs. And so I had to train a dog and sell it for dog feed. And it cost me, at that time, about, $500 to feed one a year. But now we're talking about $7 dog feed, 50 pounds. Well, man, I could train a dog and get $250, $300 out of a dog. I mean, a good dog. I mean, but we're walking pretty good ways back, 30 years ago, 28, 29 years ago. Well, then you could just about set your price. There was a guy that would come and buy dogs from me. And I didn't sell a lot of dogs. I just sold one or two a year, but he'd come by. Boy, I mean, he'd just say, you got one going? I said, yeah, I got one going. Come over here, and he'd buy it from me. And I caught wind. I mean, now I'm going to tell you about me selling a dog or giving a dog. When I sell you a dog or I give you a dog, there's no strings attached. You can take him home and barbecue him and eat him if you want to. I sold him to you. He's yours. We're good friends. But anyway, sold a dog one time, and I think I got $500. Boy, I thought, man, that's a lot of money, $500 out of that dog. And about 6 months later, the guy that he sold him to, I run into him, and I seen that dog, and I mentioned that dog. I said, I used to have that dog. He said, I bought this off a guy. And I sold it to him, I think, $500, and he gave $1,200 for it. I thought, boy, something ain't right there. Because he took it straight to him. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I didn't make me mad because that guy made, that was a good deal. Well, then in 2008, I don't know whether you remember 2008 when the dog food, the gas jumped up overnight, and the dog food jumped from $8 to $18. Well, man, I was still working for the county, and I still had to feed dogs, so I jumped up on my price, my dogs. And then it got where you can just, if you got a dog, if you train a dog, and he trees good, stays treed, you can just about put a price. You just tell them what you want for them. There's people out there that'll buy them, which I still got local people here that wants a dog, and you can't, they ain't gonna give you. But if I know a guy and I know that he lives here, he wants a squirrel dog, he ain't wanting to peddle it, I'll sell it to him. But back to my way I train them, I know I get plumb off like Donald.
Oh no, you're fine. I'm enjoying listening to it.
I get plumb off like Donald Trump does. I can't come back like he does. Sometimes he can get way off there and he'll come right back to where he started. Well, I'm not that good, so I better start back to Well, I could do it is I'll get and I'm a tightwad. I don't hardly, train my own pups. I'll breed a gyp with one of my dogs, and I'll get that pup. And then I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll just turn it loose here at the house. And it may be 5 months old, it may be 6 months old, but when it goes to tree, and I'll hear it. And when it goes to kind of sticking on that tree, that's when I put them up and go train them, because anytime more than that, they get bad habits. They go to digging, or they go to leaving the tree, or they go to, sightseeing. And so I put them up and I go training on them. And by the time they're a year old, especially a year and a half old, they're squirrel dogs. And I've got people that's calling me, but I don't have but one or two a year that I sell. And but they'll call me, or if I'm ready for one to go, I'll just call and say he's ready to go, and you can sell them for whatever. In me, there's no set time. There's no set price.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to rip nobody off. I don't need the money. I mean, it's not like I'm rich. I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money, but it don't take, one guy, he knows how tight I was. I used to work with him. He said, you can live on a damn turnip seed for a week. And I said, yeah. I said, so it's not the money. It's just the pride that you put in a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get a dog for me, and I'm not trying to say, I don't want to sell no dog. I'm just telling you the way it is. If a man buys a dog for me, he'll be exactly what I'll tell you, because there's a hill up here behind my house that's got a lot. Some of them dogs don't make it, and they won't leave my house if they don't make it. And but I enjoy it. The competition dogs, I would never hardly sell a competition dog, because it's too hard to get one. They got to be. There's a lot of things, but pleasure dogs. Oh man, you can get them about half Feist and half Stevens Kerr, or half Feist, half Mount. Oh my, them at about 30 pounds. Boy, they're just. I don't want a little bitty one, because sometimes they got to fight for their life. Them coyotes. See, I lost a Stevens Kerr last year. Right here by the house, I was hunting, and the coyote, I just come in and picked him up, carried him off, and I had not a tracking collar, not a training collar, but the tracking collar.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost the dog and tracking. I guess the coyote bit the antenna or something, because it just went dead. And I went to where it last showed me at, and there was blood, but there was nothing else. And I ain't never found the dog, and I ain't never found the tracking collar. But it was, it's coyote, because the next day I went back over looking for him. I took some more dogs, and there's two big coyotes, brought them out of the woods. Of course, one of them won't never bring nothing out of the woods, but they was after my dogs, but they was bigger dogs. But this one here was just a small one, and them coyotes killed her. So anyway, that's I love that training. It just don't get any better than this time when the leaves gets off the trees. Oh gosh, and you know yourself, man, it just don't get no better than that. And I don't know.
Well, when they go to, when you say you go to training on them after, so you got this pup, gets to be about 6 months old, run loose, starts getting treed and staying treed, and you put him up. What's that next step look like the way you do it?
Well, I just go to take him with me. I'm hunting. See, when you hunting with pleasure, you ain't taking him out by himself. I'm taking him out, and I'm driving that truck, and I'm drinking that coffee, and I'm eating that honey bun, and they're going down the road. And dog trees, I'll go out there, and if the little pup goes with him, that's fine. If he don't, that's fine. He does his own thing. But I tell you what I've learned over the years. Got shocking collars now.
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching them to come to you at your house. They know what the shocking collar is. They know when you hit that shocking collar, they come to you. Well, when I'm in the woods and I go to training the pup, when I get at the tree where my other dog's treed, that pup, he's out there chasing grasshoppers and stuff. I hit that shock collar just lightly, and I holler at him. He comes to me at the tree. You do that 3 times, you can be standing 500 yards from him, and you see that pup out there catching grasshoppers in your other dog's tree, and you hit that just lightly, and he'll go to that tree, because he's learned that tree's safe haven. That takes all the work out of it, because every time he's off that tree, just tap it a little bit, and he'll go to that tree, because that's safe haven for him. Now, competition dog, you can't do that, because he's by himself, and get him all. But boy, them pleasure dogs, you can get it, and you can get him. And then you take him hunting by himself, and he trees, and he gets off that tree just a little bit. You can pump that, and he's right back on that tree, because that's safe haven. And man, that takes all the work. Because I've had them before. 50 years ago, you'd whoop a dog, well then he'd get scared of you, and then make him stay on the tree, and it was just. But that shock collar, buddy, whoever invented that, that's a lifesaver. You can get them. You can get a dog and anybody hunts with me that knows me. There's one beef that I've got with a dog, and I've hunted with guys all my life, way back there. They have a danged old dog. You get ready to come hunting or go home, he'll run up there and put his feet on the tailgate, and you hip him in. They've done that 5 or 6 years. I mean, it's just a habit. My dogs, when I say get in, the third time I tell them get in, they'll jump over the truck if they have to, because they know what's happening. I mean, that shock collar is the best thing ever was. I mean, I guess it's a training collar, and you want to be, you don't want to get the public thinking it. But when I tell a dog to get in, they better get in, because they ain't got no other option. And when I drop my tailgate and tell them get in, I want them to jump in. I don't want them up there and throw that feet up there and say load me up. No, that ain't gonna get. And the guys that hunts with me, boy, that's the first thing I do. I light in on them, like Chris and Braden. Now, they got their dogs. They load too, but when we first oh, gosh, their dogs run up there and jump on the tailgate, and I'd go to laughing at them, and they go into working on them. But now, their dog jumps in there. Man, you give out. You're ready to go home. You don't want to chase a dog all over the country, or him that's get up there and you got to load him up. You want him to come on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the nicest things about the training collars is, it really don't take a whole lot.
No.
I was just over at one of my cousin's house the other day, and I took a dog over that wasn't working out for me, but I think it was going to be a pretty good fit for him. And we were talking about, because he lives on a road, and the last one he had end up getting hit, and talked about breaking one from cars, and we took his Garmin and I put it on my wrist, and I was helping him get it set up, and I think we set it up to where his buttons were on low was 2 and high was 4, or the next jump up was 4. And I mean, you put it on your wrist, you don't hardly even. I mean, you feel it, but it's not like it's ripping your arm off or anything. It's really just something to break their attention. Is all you really got to do.
That's right. That's right.
People take the association of a shock collar is it's always some cruel, horrible thing that's burning the hair off their neck, and that just really ain't the case at all.
It's not.
I mean, honestly, if you set a dog up like that, I mean, you just run the dogs all you do, and you waste your time.
Yeah, you do. You of course, there's people, and I'm just talking for myself. I've never run a dog on a shock collar, but I'm pretty hot-headed. But now I'm just talking about myself. Man, I've hit them. A day or two, they forget it, but I've hit them so hard. I've been looking at a dog. Now, that's me not thinking right. I've got, these shock collars got 10 dogs, but, I usually 3 dogs at the very most. I'll be looking at old Bo down here, and he's treeing, and Jack over here, he's not treeing. Well, I want Jack to get on that tree, and I hit this thing, and old Bo just goes barking 10 times faster. Well, why ain't Jack coming? I hit him again, Bo, I mean, he's already barking, but he really goes to barking. And then I realized I'm hitting Bo instead of Jack. And I got another funny that I'll tell you. Dan, we was talking about Dan. Me and grandson went in halvers. We saved our money. I think we give $400 for him, and grandson, he went $200, and I went $200. I mean, he had to work for it. His mom and dad made him work, and he even carried a Bible to one of his elder ladies at church. He carried the Bible in church for $5 every Sunday. but anyway, we went, and Dan was at my house. He'd done tore everything up at their house. Dan was at my house. Well, this is before I made a competition dog at him, but I had him in a dog pen. I was hunting him, and he'd come over, and every time he'd come over, we'd go hunting with Dan. Well, Dan was bad about barking in a dog pen, so I put the barking collar on him where he wouldn't be barking. Well, Colby Warhead come over, and he said, "Grabby, let's go hunting." I said, "Okay, go out there and turn Dan loose, and when he trees, we'll just go to following him." I said, "Squirrels ought to be stirring." He turned him loose, and in 20, 30 minutes, I forgot about it. Warhead come in and said, "Grandpa, Dan ain't treed yet." I said, "He ain't treed yet, no." And I said, "Well, maybe they ain't stirring." And I said, in about an hour, Dan come in, and he had that barking collar on him. And I thought, oh, no. I've burnt that dog because I know he was treeing somewhere or trying to tree, and I didn't say no. I just took the bark collar off of him and just turned him on. 15 minutes later, he had a squirrel tree in front of the house. But he went an hour. He never said a word, and so it's that was the honestest time. I saw he opened the gate. I forgot about the bark collar, but anyway, he opened the gate and he went down there. But it's hard to. I mean, I've heard people. I mean, they must get really rough on one to burn one because I've been pretty rough, and I've never. Now it might take a day. I did run over one, didn't kill it. Run over one time because it was running a deer, and I went shocking it, and got up under my truck, and I didn't know it, and I run over it. Boy, they bad about I mean, they want that thing off of them. But anyway, I'm 68 years old, and I could tell you some stories. But we ain't got time for.
Oh, we got time for stories.
No.
We got time for stories. I forgot to mention this before, but like I shoot for about an hour on episode length. So right now we're only about 35 minutes.
Okay.
So we got plenty of time. So see, sorry.
Well, I don't know. I've about shoot for I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I got a question for you. So
Yeah.
I noticed the Sasquatch lane sign down on your driveway.
That's my wife's.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is kind of a Sasquatch hotbed according to some people. I was gonna ask what your thoughts were on that.
Well, I've hunted all my life. I've hunted in these mountains all my life. I've not seen a track. I've not even seen a big track. I've seen some big human tracks, but I've not seen a track. I ain't seen. I got some neighbors that they're from. I don't know. They're not from around here, down there on the hill that believes in them. But these loggers has cut these logs all their life. They've cut all that timber over in there. They cut all this timber. They've never seen him. Never seen no footprints. But now I ain't saying he's not here. But I'm not scared of him. Now I've seen some people that looked, that was similar, that looked like what one would look like, but they was humans,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's a lot of different things. But I say if you're going to look for one and eat him, you're going to starve to death.
Yeah, I don't know if you know any of the tunes. They're a little bit south of here. They run a lot of hog dogs and whatnot. But
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
We asked them one time, and Liddell said, "Well, don't you think that if there was Sasquatch running around out here, we'd have had one bait up, tied to a tree somewhere before now?"
Yeah. I mean, I've hunted with my dogs all. It's the people that believes in them. They believe in them all the way, and they get mad. So I'm not here to make nobody mad, but I'm saying you better not be waiting for one if you want to see one, because they're pretty scarce, I guess. And I've seen all kinds of tracks. I've seen mountain lion tracks. We do have mountain lions here. Not a whole bunch of them. In fact, I seen one about 10 years ago in front of my house. I seen him one time. It was a small one, but other than but I've never seen old Bigfoot. But over in Octave, Zafre, and all in that area, that's the people that lives are not just some people think they've seen them. So I ain't gonna question them any, but I haven't seen one. I did hear one time I was coon hunting by myself, and boy, awfully when you're by yourself and you're in the mountains and you hear, man, I'm gonna tell you that's a scared as if I'd been afoot, I'd been about to have my mule, and I was tied up there, and the dogs way south of me working the coon track. Boy, I heard something awfulest noise. Now it sent, it made the hair stand up the back of my head, and I heard it several times. I eased over and got on my mule, and I eased on out of there. But later on, the older guys back then said it's probably a coyote. But it wasn't, howling like it was just making a dangest noise. But that's the only time I've ever really been scared. And that was just that one time. But I think there's nothing here in these woods here that'll hurt you. I mean, if it would have, because I've hunted by myself. I like to hunt by myself, especially when I was trying to make a living on them coon hides, because I was laid off. I had to get up. I had to go. And I've never been scared. I've never been just get up. There ain't nothing better than hearing the old dog hit a coon track late, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and frost on the ground. You build you a pine knot fire. A lot of people don't know what a pine knot fire is, but it's just a pine stump that you cut and you get started, and boy, build you one of them up. The pine gets started real fast, burning, keep you warm. Hearing the old dog work and work and work, and finally he trees. But the worst part about it is it's about 25 degrees. You got a good hot fire, and when you get up and you walk away from that fire, that's the coldest. Oh, that's the coldest in the world is when you get away from one of them fires at night. But you get there and you look up there, and there he sits, big old boar coon, $35. Man, but now I've chopped a lot of trees down too. Carry an axe. Way back, the older guys can tell you. These younger guys won't, but the older guys tell you when you tree a coon, there wasn't no coon got away. Now there was sometimes I cut a big old hole in a tree and look in there and there ain't nothing. I mean, there ain't nothing. You spent 2 hours cutting a hole. You turn around and you look at my old blue dog. When I tell you about that's so lazy, I could just turn around and I'd look at him, and I wouldn't. That's before the good Lord got a hold of me. I'd call him a few names, and he learned what them names was, because I could call him a certain name. He'd duck that head, and the next time he treed, he had a coon. But boy, I'd look. I mean, he'd be just so truthful that, boy, he's there. He's in a hole. He's there. Well, I'd chop a hole in or chop it down. I've chopped some big ones down. Look in there, nothing. I'd look at old Blue, and I'd say whatever I was going to say to him. He'd duck that head, and out of there, he would never say nothing. He might be a quarter of a mile before he opened again. When he opened, he'd be after a coon, and he'd go tree that. But he knew there wasn't nothing up there. Oh my! But yeah, back in you used your chopping axe about as much as you did anything else, because you chopped $30, $35. My goodness alive! You treat 2 of them. One night I was told my wife I was laid off, but I was one of them nights where I just beat up. I done went about 20 nights in a row. My dogs were beat up. I was beat up, but got about dark. I went twitching around. And I told Annette, I said, I'm gonna go down there at the river, and I'm gonna tree one coon, whether it's there or not. I'm coming back home. I'm just one coon. So I went down to the river, turned them loose. Just as soon as I turned them loose, I hit a coon. Treed 3 big boar coon up one tree. $90, because the next day, that was Friday, and the reason I wanted to go that night because the next day was fur buyer would come to town and buy you furs, and so I went down it. I was gone from the house about 45 minutes, made $90, and I could have worked all day at a job but not made 50. So did pretty good, and that pretty well. That's a good night. I'm glad that things ain't as rough as it used to be pretty rough. That's way before you ever come here. That's before you was even thought of. But golly, I don't know. Right now I'm just living a dream, and so far, the good Lord, He's just let me play it out. And how much time we got now?
Oh, we got about 15 minutes. Hey, let's talk about mules a little bit. What kind of mule? Describe the what you look for in a mule and what you like in one.
Well, I want one that ain't crazy. See, I just got through getting rid of one that was a pretty nice mule, and it took me a long time to figure out that. I'm an old man. He wasn't an old man's mule. He didn't buck. He didn't do nothing. When you got on him, you better be ready to go. And he wasn't bucking. He was just ready to go. My goodness, when you got bad legs and bad knees, and it takes. I don't know why he didn't run. You just have to crawl on one. I mean, it's just all over him and get on him. But no, the first mule I ever had, I bought it from an Indian, Choctaw Indian, Ray Heavner over here. Her name was Prissy, and raised her from a baby, and she was gentle. I could go up there. I could ride up there with them trees, stand on her saddle, and look down, or it'd give me a boost to climb on up that tree, because if you could see a coon there, and I carried some barbed wire, if you see a coon there, you could shoot the coon in the hole and drop that barbed wire and get him tangled up and pull him out.
Twist him out.
And you ain't got to cut a tree down or cut a hole in it. Well, I did that a many times, and she'd always stay there. I mean, I wanted a good, and she died. She's about 35 when she died, but man, you want a good mule. You could do anything that you wanted to. And one night, I was coon hunting right this right here west of the house here. I was coon hunting, and a coon jumped. I tied her up. Coon jumped out, and boy, the way they went. But I was trying to get to it, and they went in there about 50 yards and treed. Well, we didn't have nothing. Compass all we had back then, and so I got to the coon, got it shot out, had my mule tied up. I mean, these mountains, and I thought I was going the right direction, and I guess I went opposite. It took me 5 hours to find that mule, and I just happened to be looking. I was walking and looking, and I mean, I walked and walked and walked and looked. I happened to see an eye in between all that timber and stuff. I just happened to see.
What kind of light did you have?
I had, well, it was a wheat light.
Yeah.
At the time, it was the top of the line,
mm-hmm.
you know. It was a wheat light, but I just happened to. No, it wasn't a carbide. I told you, I was a little bit above that carbide, but it was a wheat light. But I just barely could see an eye, and I started walking. But that's after 4 or 5 hours, and I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked, and there she was. She didn't paw the ground. She just was just calm. But that's the kind of mules I liked. I like good, calm mule. But back to my other mule, my wife got more. She said, you need to get rid of that mule because it's going to hurt you. And, you know, I told her, no, it ain't going to hurt me. But in the back of my mind, I knew that, you know, I better get rid of that mule. And it was a good mule, but it was just too much for an old man. I don't know, since I'm going back to these little pleasure dogs, what I might end up, because the way the forest and stuff's getting where you can't ride your side-by-sides on
mm-hmm.
on the forest and stuff. I don't know what I might, if I could find a real, it'd have to be just a dog gentle mule, for me to get. But I don't know. You know, when you get home, you got to put them up, got to feed them and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's pretty nice just road hunting, and then when you get home, just put your game up and you're done. You know. That's what I like to live in here, and I get home and I sling the gate open. Most of the time, my dogs are too tired to go back a hunting, so I can just go in and put them up later if I want to.
Yeah.
But not everybody's set up like I am. I mean, I just had this. I mean, I know I'm set up. Golly, hunt from the house or whatever I want to do. I just got to watch and not kill all my squirrels because you kill 2 a day, and it don't take long. You run out of squirrels.
How big a mule you like? How big was Prissy?
Prissy was about. She had 800 pounds. Just about hers. She's built real good.
About how many hand?
Oh gosh, 14 maybe. You know, something like that.
Yeah.
But she was. I don't want a big mule. I had Frisky after I had Prissy. Now Frisky was a good mule, but I was still young then. Frisky was a good mule. Prissy, the first mule, you could get tangled up on her and fall off of her, and she'd be right there, and you mm-hmm. get yourself under. Frisky was a good mule. You get tangled up on her, and she's gonna kill you. I mean, she's going to kill you, but she was a good, tough mule. But now she weighed about 1,000, 1,100 pounds. She's a big mule. But as the years went on, she just hurt you. Get on her. She's kind of wide, too, because I didn't ride her that much. She'd take fat. And boy, she just, when you got off her, you couldn't even hardly walk. I mean, she's just too big. But 800-pound mule would be just right for these mountains. You can get up and down, and you want little feet, which most mules do in the mountains. Now, I've heard them boys talk about them horses and stuff. They got, they hunt in them bottoms. They mm-hmm. want big foot and big feet and stuff. And that's probably right. But these mountains, you want one with little feet. You want just a good stout little mule.
Why the little feet in the mountains?
Well, you got rocks and you got
mm-hmm.
all that. They just get around better.
Okay.
And you want them barefoot. You really want a mule because you want him barefooted. I did put some shoes on Prissy just to make her look pretty, but it's better to have them barefoot. They can. I'm telling you, you get in these rocks, they slip and slide, anyway. But if you have them barefooted, they're a little bit. And if you have them barefooted and you ride them quite a bit in the mountain, get them kind of tenderfoot, they'll watch their feet where they put them at, and they won't be they won't be a sliding. Prissy was probably the best mountain mule. That I didn't ever own but 4 mules and ever since I was hunting, but she was probably the best one I ever had. Frisky was next to her if she wasn't, she's just, like I said, you get tangled up, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
The last mule I got, she was pretty good, but she just too, oh my. I do want to say that over the years, I've appreciated the people that I've hunted with, the competition hunters, the barking sawyers. You know who you are. I appreciate it. You boys taking care of me over the years. D, Mike, you boys taking good care of me. Some of the times when I should have went to the dogs, you say you got it. You went on and you checked the dogs out. And I didn't have to do all that walking. And Mike more especially, he was you're a dandy. You know who I'm talking about. There's another one. You know who I'm talking about. You can kiss my, you know what. You know. You know what I mean there. But them guys, they took care of me. Golly, when a dog's split tree the way off, it's rough talk walking. And that's why I'm getting out of it, because I can't stay up with you. I was just too young, too tough for me. But anyway, that's about all I've got to say for you.
Well, Ceb, I sure appreciate you agreeing to do this and giving me and everybody that listens to this your time. And I've sure enjoyed listening to your stories. And hopefully I'd like to come back down sometime a little bit later in the fall and come squirrel hunting with you one day.
You come anytime you want to. Anybody can come. I mean, I'm just. But y'all's going to go to the dogs. I'll keep the squirrel skin. I'll keep them cut up, and I'll even give them to you when the hunt's over. But anybody wants to come squirrel hunt with me, come on. I live on Hicks Road. I won't be hard to find. The only house, when you hit dirt road, either end, the only house there. Just come on. I don't know. We're all here just for a short while, so let's make the best of it.
I agree. All right, everybody. Take care and keep wearing out that boot leather. I just want to give everyone that's listening a sincere thank you. Getting this podcast going has been a project. I really hope you're enjoying it, and if you don't mind, give the show a good rating and review wherever you're listening to it at, or share it on your social media to help get some traction. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to your feedback.